You are listening to the Bill podcast with me, Natalie Rolls. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, cityfiction.co.uk, and vanguardcomics.co.uk. Welcome back to part 2 of this special trilogy of podcasts with former executive producer of The Bill, the one and only Paul Marquess. In part 2, Paul shares his memories of the late, great Bernie Nolan. We also chat about that gay kiss. I hope you're sitting comfortably.
I bet you remember, there's a story where you're called out. I always remember the shot, which is Debbie ends up holding a baby like this while pregnant, I
remember.
Yeah, and that was all, that was a plan.
Planting those seeds, like you did with the Connie Hyde, the Kathy Bradford. I mean, amazing. That character, again, people talking about that on the streets. Everyone remembers that character so well.
She ended up on Lorraine Kelly, didn't she? Do you remember that?
She did. Do you know who we've not spoken about? And I cannot believe it's 10 years since. Bernie. Gorgeous Bernie.
Oh, God, well, I was talking about her this week. Yeah.
Oh.
I met Bernie when we cast her in Brookside, and we're doing an episode where we were relaunching the parade in Brookside. We're having celebrity guests, and we had Graham Norton, Carol Smiley, and the Nolans. And at the last minute, we had to pull Bernie because we'd cast her as a new character in Brookside. It was very, very meta. I remember going like, she can't really be in as one of the Nolans and then appear a couple of weeks later as the new mother of the new family. So she didn't. So I met all the other sisters, and they were they're a good laugh, the Nolans, and they're going, oh yeah, our Bernie, well, she's an actress now, and so in she comes, and I went down about the second day. You'll know what she was like, and I said, hi, is it all right? She said, oh, it's great. And she said, the thing that I don't get, she said, all these actors like, I wouldn't say this, I wouldn't say that. And I'm thinking, well, we're getting paid, just do what you're told. And she never changed, and she always had that. I'm dead lucky to be here. There's something about Bernie, and she also she used to say to me, I'm not trained. I go, well, you're my favorite, so it doesn't matter. But there was something about her. There was something in Bernie's eyes. Do you know what I mean? There's something in her. My mum, my sisters, all the women I know were like, oh, we love her. We love her. The camera just got, there was some connection there. She was very, very real. And you know how lovely she was and what a good laugh she was.
Oh, just beautiful person. Beautiful.
And the last time last time I saw her was at the Soap Awards. I mean, a really good talk. And she said, I'm not going to let this thing beat me. And it did. And I still can't believe it. It's such a tragedy. And actually, we were casting a part in Hope Street recently, and I had a sort of senior moment, and I was thinking, do you know who could play? Oh, no, can't get her.
Ah, bless Bernie. Some guest stars that you asked to play reoccurring characters: Lysette Anthony, Lynda Bellingham, Howell Bennett,
yes,
Jessie Birdsall.
Yes.
Were you the driving force in getting these big names on board and creating characters that they would be interested in playing?
Not just me. I think we had a great team. You know what I mean? There was a great team. Casting department were really good. I mean, they come to me and say, so I remember the Lynda Bellingham, we created the character. And I think that's when Claire was the series producer on The Bill. And I think they came to me and said, we might be able to get Lynda Bellingham. And I said, happy days. But I think what we'd created was a show where that could happen. You know what I mean? So, and I know in the past it'd been like Paul O'Grady had been in it, and by the time I vaguely knew Paul O'Grady, we tried to get him back and he wouldn't do it then. But my Lynda Bellingham story is that Lynda came in and she was in about 3 or 4 months, I think, and I never met her. I never met anybody because I was just always locked in an office somewhere. Lynda would not have this, and decided that she had to meet me. And so she just basically made my life a misery until I went and had lunch with her in the Ivy. And I arrived at 1 o'clock, and Lynda booked her car for 2:30. And it was in the days when I still used to drink a lot of wine, which I don't anymore. And Lynda got in her car at 8:30. So to say that we hit it up, I mean, you met her, obviously. She was an absolute hoot, you know.
Absolutely.
But no, I think part of that was there was added credibility. One of the things that we managed to do as well, I think, was make it more important to ITV. So Lynda had said that her, you know, when she was offered the bill, her agent had spoken to someone at ITV who said they really felt it was a brilliant synergy, that, you know, the bill was a big thing in ITV. Lynda was a big star in ITV. You know, so all of that, it just worked really, really well together. And also the great thing about that was Lynda got to play a part that she never got to play anywhere else. You know, she always played nice, didn't she? When you met her, I mean, she was lovely, Lynda, but she wasn't nice.
Yeah. Beth had some great stuff with her, Beth Cordingley.
She was brilliant, you know.
Brilliant.
And honestly, you know, I can't tell you. There's one story particularly with the Ivy and Lynda Bellingham. I really can't tell you, but I say, oh my God, she had a life. She had a life, Lynda.
Let's just say she had a life. Lysette Anthony.
Lysette, again, I mean, that was a performance.
Wow.
I mean, and also, you know, saying to Simon Rouse, you're going to have all this stuff, Lysette Anthony. Let's just say that he didn't object.
He was crawling up the corridor after her.
I think that there was Simon's happiest days on the bill with Lysette Anthony, but they were magic on screen together, those two, you know.
Fantastic.
God, he's a good actor, Simon Rouse, you know. And that was also coming in and saying, and to someone like Simon Rouse and saying, you can do more than this, you know. There is so much more that we can do with you. And I mean, that brilliant, that, you know, what I always say, the story that made it all work, my time work, was Debbie and Chandler and Mickey and Jack Meadows. That's the story that got us through that first year, and it was a brilliant story. And the thing about it was, we'd literally go, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. It was, nothing has ever come easier than that, you know. And it was all brilliantly delivered, you know. And those sort of stories then meant you could get Hal Bennett, and we had Michael Jaston at one point. Michael Jaston. We had some fantastic people.
Russell Tovey was one of those as well. That, I mean,
David
he
Walliams.
blew my mind. Yes.
Very young David Walliams. Who knew?
I'm just thinking about the Jack stuff as well. Jack Meadows, Debbie was... people love that. Yeah. He loved that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack loved Debbie, didn't he?
He did.
And Debbie was able to get away with all sorts of bad behaviour because Jack loved
her. I loved her. I thank you. My job was brilliant. And it's not really topped, anything's topped that. It was such a great time. Mark Wingett's just done a radio, I think he's done a Radio Times interview about because it was 40 years ago since the Wooden Tops. And he did I think he was saying, you know, from old tobacco warehouse to Deer Park Road in Wimbledon. And how, you know, those massive changes and what the show went through. And he will never look upon that job as anything but the best job. You know, we were all so lucky.
I always say it's my favourite job. It was my favourite job. It was just, you know, it was fantastic. Hard, but fantastic.
Can we talk about the gay kiss?
Well, the thing about the gay kiss was that a few years before I did the bill, there was the poll tax riots before I watched the television, poll tax riots in London. And that night, me and my best friend, who's still my best friend, went to a club in Deptford called Outdance at the Albany Empire Theatre. And we met these people, and one of them was a police officer who'd been policing the riots that afternoon, a gay police officer. And he told me that his boyfriend, who was also a police officer, had killed himself. and I never forgot it, And then years later, I come into the Bill, and I end up in the first meeting with the writers at the Bill, because before I got there, it was all meant to be standalone episodes. There were, if you remember, Natalie, there were no meeting rooms,
No.
So we had to sit in the set canteen or a very, very nasty room in casting, basically. So I sit with the writers, and they talked about the character of Craig Gilmore, played by Howell, and they told me, and I know which writer it was, that he wasn't a gay police officer, that character. He was a police officer who happened to be gay. And I said, well, in my experience, there's no such thing. And we are talking here 2001, not 2023. And I told these writers the story about this guy that killed himself. He killed himself because he was a police officer and he was gay and he couldn't handle it. And so that was the sort of noble impulse behind it. Then the cynical impulse was actually, I was being brought into this show where the demographic was really, really troublesome for ITV, so there were lots of older people watching the Bill. And the thing to say about those older viewers is we never lost them. They never left us. They all stayed. It wasn't about that. It was about bringing in a new audience. And it just seemed to me, and I remember saying this, what we need to do, and we should do it in August because it's a slow news month, is have 2 police officers in uniform, both male, snogging in the police station. And that will modernise the show. And so we did. And then actually, Esther, my PA, said that Scott Neal, who'd been in the show before, played Luke, was interested in coming back. He'd heard everything was changing. I thought, oh, well, that's good. Why don't we do a story with him and Craig Gilmore? Let's do Scott and Harold, Luke and Craig, and we'll put that out in August. And then the surprise for me was in 2001 is that we shot that. In fact, we shot it 3 times, because the first time they took them out of uniform because someone in costume had worked out that they would have finished their shift. Oh, anyway, then we had to do it again, and they didn't get any stills because somebody said, oh, we didn't take any stills of that because it was a bit sensitive. No, do it again, take some stills. We need some stills of this. So we had to do it 3 times, which was ironic. And then I had to have a meeting with, our compliance was done by Carlton Television, with my boss at Thames, Alan Boyd, who I love, and a barrister from Carlton Television to talk about the scene. And I came in and sat there, listened to this for about 20 minutes. And Alan Boyd was trying not to laugh because he knew I was going to say something. And I said, well, it's a win-win for me, because if you trim this or cut it, because apparently it was too passionate, I said, I will tell the press. So it's up to you. So we either run it as it is, or I'll put a press statement saying you've cut it. And I can't lose here, because all I want to do is change the perceptions of the show, and more important than that really was changing the ethnic mix of the leading characters, bringing in Diane Parrish, bringing in Pal Aaron, bringing in Sir Lunry. But this was it was a personal thing for me to some extent, but also it was easy in a way because so little had changed in the Bill. The door, it was easy to push the door wide open and go, look at this. But it was after there'd been a gay kiss in EastEnders. It was long after Brookside with Anna Friel and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I was slightly surprised at how absolutely brilliantly it worked for us, because the Daily Mail couldn't help themselves, and you couldn't help themselves. Full page, la, 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 la. And then it was followed up by one of our police advisors left, and there was a thing in the Daily Mirror. The headline was Bill Cop sacked in gay row, which I was meant to have made into a T-shirt because I thought it was so brilliant. I mean, load of nonsense. No one was sacked. La, 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 la. But, in terms of doing what we needed it to do, it worked an absolute...
It worked.
Yeah, and that's it. And also because, they were really good actors. God, Howell was a really good actor, wasn't he? Blah, blah, blah.
Amazing.
It was the right moment in the right story.
At the same time you're doing MIT, that popped up in the middle of you making the Bill.
Oh, God, yes. And Family Affairs.
I mean, you are incredible. What do you do to cut off? What do you do to switch off?
It's funny because clearly we had COVID, didn't we? And
yeah.
I read a lot during COVID. I mean, I had 10 weeks absolutely on my own during COVID, literally on my own, because my other half has a kid and it all just that's the way it had to be. So that was an interesting experience I wouldn't like to repeat,
Right.
I'd definitely rather be in production and working with a team of writers than sitting on my own. But I was all right. I mean, I like watching TV, but I really like lots of mainstream TV. You know, people say, "Have you seen this on Netflix?" And I think, no. I think I'm really lucky to do something I absolutely love. You know, I mean, my dad said to me when I was about 17, said, "Tell me work is terrible. You just have to do it to pay the bills." And me thinking to my 17-year-old, "Well, I won't do that." And I've been unbelievably lucky that I stumbled upon something, you know. So we've just been making 15 episodes of Hope Street, probably too many given the weather in Northern Ireland. But, you know, working out 15 episodes of Hope Street is what I like to do. There's some DNA from the bill in that as well. You know, I end up talking to writers and storyliners and script editors all the time about POV. When you meet writers and editors who worked on the bill, we speak in a different way to all those people who didn't. And it's a really good discipline, and it's really good grammar. And you find out having to explain it to people, but you'll never really get it because you didn't work on the bill. There was a time before I worked in TV, and I you know, I did a drama degree, and then I just thought, when I went to work in retail, I thought that ship had sailed. I really did. I thought, you know, I'm one of those people, did a drama degree, that was interesting. I'm going to end up working in retail for the rest of my life, and that's okay. And so to have been given that chance 10 years later or whatever it was, and then, you know, and also to still be doing it. I mean, I've had my ups and downs. There's been some, you know, since the bill, there's been some ups and there's been some downs as well. And I had one very, very bad year, and I thought, that's it, it's all over. About 12 years ago, I just thought, I can't do this anymore. And so what I did was, because I couldn't think of what else to do, I absolutely went back to first principles and did a thing for ITV Daytime, which you were lucky enough not to be in, I think, called Crime Stories, which we shot on the set of the bill, which was all improvised, and we directed it ourselves. I mean, I directed it, imagine. Really basic. It was like literally, I mean, I love it. I watched some recently, I really love it, but dead simple. So it was Ben Hull, actor Ben Hull, and a real police officer, Jane, and it's improvised, and they investigate a crime all in the interview room in the police station, basically. And we did 20 of them for ITV Daytime, and it actually really worked. We did very well. And then Channel 5 saw that, and then we then we came up with Suspects, which was also improvised. But through that, because I came through scripts, I was never a proper producer, really. I was like script editor, producer, executive producer, you know. And people talk about production, and I think, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I went back to absolute first principles. I'm a much better producer now. People may quarrel with that. I don't know.
Absolutely. my brain just went there with Jackie Moulton. I was just thinking, because Jackie, imagine if you were doing imagine that if you were doing like Debbie and Jackie in an improvised scene. I'd be so scared of Jackie.
Wow.
She was a force. She was incredible. Loved her.
I'm still really good friends with Jackie. She's still a force.
You? Still she's incredible. She's a force within the force.
Yeah, she did a book. Her book is out, folks. Read Jackie's book.
I've got to read Jackie's book. Yeah. It's on the list, Christmas list.
I mean, I did 2 improvised series, and that's enough.
Wow. Then, I mean, that is, I don't know how you did that, because I watched a few of Suspects with Faye Ripley, and that cast you had, that must have been, as an actor, incredible experience.
I mean, it's interesting. You know, it's improvised. It's improvised in a very detailed structure. You know what I mean? It's of course it's all in the writing, but it's not all in the writing. They were brilliant. They were really brilliant. And we had a brilliant police advisor, like a really brilliant police advisor, who was like giving them the language just before we'd say, you know, we shot action. You know, yeah. I mean, but really sort of, you know, seat of your pants sort of stuff. And she shot an hour of that in 2.5 days. Oh my God. What? 2 of those a week. But there was something about it, all shot properly like a documentary. The camera was behind, you know, all that sort of stuff. It was either going to be, I mean, I remember Ben Frow at Channel 5 saying to me, is there a way that, you know, if I commission this, you can, you know, promise me it won't be shit? I said, no, you just have to try, you just have to give it a go, Ben, really. Because, and then, you know, they loved it. It really, really worked for them. It sort of opened up drama on Channel 5. For me, it just brought me back to the thing that I love. You know, it was through Crime Stories, and then really through Suspects, that I thought, no, A, what on earth else am I going to do? and B, I love this, you know.
So
Um,
London Kills, that was the next thing. And the
yeah,
format of that is 5 episodes per series, which I thought was interesting because it's for the American market, which is
yeah,
totally different, isn't it?
yeah.
So, because I was like, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Again, it's crime. That is your brilliance in that. You've obviously got that magic gene.
When I was offered the bill, I said to them, I've never done crime. I don't know if I could do crime. And I said, that
Oh.
should be on my gravestone now. Since then, I've done nothing else, more or less. I mean, London Kills is interesting because it was for Acorn. Acorn are a US streaming service. If you're in North America and you want to watch British drama, particularly crime drama, you either watch BritBox or Acorn. And I made shows for both of them now. And I pitched them London Kills, and London Kills has got a little bit of DNA from MIT, which we made while we we're doing the bill. Frustration for me with MIT was I was just too busy to really get involved in it. You know, my control freakery had to have its limits. So I sort of and also I made all sorts of mistakes on MIT, like not having any music on it. It was mad. Anyway, that's another story for the
That's
day.
what I was going to bring up and say. We always used to have, I wonder if you could have music on this, but you've done that in London Kills. It's suddenly so atmospheric. You've got drone shots.
We should have had all that on MIT. And the thing was, I'd only done pre-watershed drama, and I'm music is my Achilles heel. I need someone else to write the music for me. So I tried to make a virtue of this at MIT and go, there'd be a soundscape of the city. Yeah. But I mean, I watched an MIT recently. I thought it was really good. Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing it down. I wanted to do a pure murder of the week show. I wanted to do it for ages, and I wanted to do it. And so I pitched them London Kills. They really liked it. I said, do you care who writes the first one? And they said, no, we just want it to be good. And I said, well, I'll work out who's writing it. Then sneaked off and wrote it myself.
You.
I had written a sort of 13-page scene by scene breakdown of episode 1 and thought, this will be, as we said in Old Dan, wee buns, which means really easy. So we spent 2 days on that into a script, went to bed, woke up next morning, read it. Absolutely terrible. And it took me like another 8 weeks with them going, when are we getting the script? He's writing it to turn it into something. Anyway, so eventually wrote a script which was not rubbish, and they commissioned the series, and I've written quite a lot of that. And so that's the journey I've been on, really, because I used to write bits and pieces of the bill, but only in an absolute emergency. I'd be sitting in my flat in Clapham, and then the phone would be ringing. They're going, can we have the next scene because we're about to shoot it? You know, that's how I used to write the bill. So it wasn't fine art. You know, it got the point across. So, and I don't know, because I've worked with so many brilliant writers. Like when I was at Granada, I worked with Sally Wainwright, and I worked with Russ T. Davis and Paul Abbott and Frank Cottrell Boyce. And so to call yourself a writer just seemed like, they're writers, you know. So it took me a long time. And Russell said to me then, oh, you can write. It was stupid. And I was like, no, producer, you're the writer. And he's done all right, I think, Russell, ever since then. So it's been, I always felt like I was, I don't know, bigging myself up or something. Now I've written a lot of London Kills. I've written a fair bit of Hope Street, and I've written something else, which I hope is going to get made. All crime.
All crime. I was going to say, do you think could it be set in a different genre? Could it be sort of sci-fi, or are you just wondered if there's anything in there?
The other thing I've learned is, I know I've been in development with various companies and not got stuff made. I mean, I have developed lots of shows that haven't got made that weren't crime. But let me tell you, they didn't get made. And so there's a bit of you that goes, hang on a minute, what are you known for? I'd rather make things than sit in a room and talk about things. I'd rather make things that go on the telly. And the shows that I've made over the past 5 years ago, I'm really proud of. I've really enjoyed. I've had some fantastic actors. You know, talk about strong women, Sharon Small and London Kills.
Oh, amazing.
You know, Kerry Quinn and Hope Street. Kerry Quinn. Eve McGrady. Watch it. If you haven't seen Hope Street, watch Hope Street for Eve McGrady. She's brilliant. I'm having a great time, and I'm getting to write it as well quite a lot of the time, and create my own shows. You know, I'll get found out and they'll lock the doors of TV against me at some point. You know, but
You're living your best life. You're doing it. You're enjoying it, and you're still loving it after all this time. Do you think you'd ever go back to the theatre?
my theatre career was a disaster. That's the thing. You know, I mean,
But could you exec something maybe in the theatre?
Probably not, because the money is terrible. It's terrible. So I did a thing for Radio 4. We did a little 5-part drama for Radio 4 called Ordinary Heroes, written by me and Sally Tatchell, who worked on the bill.
Yes.
And it was really good. And we got paid nothing. Nothing. Someone said, do you want to work on radio? I was like, oh, that'd be marvelous. And it was lovely. It was good. And we had really good actors in it and all the rest of it. The money was terrible. And the theatre, you think, unless you're, I don't know, Trevor Nunn, which I'm clearly not going to be. I mean, I was asked to direct a panto a while ago, and I wish I'd said yes to that. Once you've got, you know what it's like, once you've got the bug of, you make something and loads of people see it, that's quite remarkable. You know, that thing where people feel, you know, someone said to me recently, oh, people are so rude about TV. And I'm thinking, yeah, there are people who feel they're able to just slag off what you've done because it's on the telly, but most people are really, really nice, you know. And it's been very interesting in Northern Ireland with Hope Street, which, you know, it comes on here first, then it goes on the iPlayer, and then it goes to BBC Daytime, and then it goes on BritBox in North America, and then it goes all across the world. It's sold everywhere. But the Northern Irish audience, you know, who've never had their own show like this before, they never had their own Heartbeat or Doc Martin or all the rest of it. And their expectations of it were so, you know, when we were, you know, the taxi drivers in Series 1, what's it about? It is about serial killers or the IRA. And you go, no, it's about this little pink police station, blah, blah, blah. And they all love it now. They love it now.
Great.
You know?
I can see why. I was totally drawn in. Very easy, very just beautifully done. I loved it.
That's a lovely experience. That sort of feedback is really not, you know, and it's like the girls on the tube of the bill, you know. Most people don't get that. You go and do your job. I mean, and you know, most of this job is not very glamorous. I spent a lot of this summer in a porter cabin in Donegal in Northern Ireland, sometimes in the storm. But I'm really lucky to do this. You know what I mean? And also, I didn't, when I was 17, 18, 19, and thought I might be a theatre director, I didn't really know what it meant. No one told me I could do this and make a career out of this. Dead lucky. And I've got a partner who doesn't work in television, who's very good at reminding me how lucky I am. So it's sort of all good.
I really hope you're all enjoying getting to know Paul, who was very generous with his time. There's loads more The Bill Chat to come next month in part 3. Though if you can't wait until then, why not join the ranks and unlock it now on patreon.com/The Bill Podcast. Speaking of legends, here's a list of them. The Bill Podcast is produced by Oliver Crocker, brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, cityfiction.co.uk and vanguardcomics.co.uk. The Bill Podcast is co-produced by Ben Adams, Glenn Allen, Rob Cook, Glenn Cooney, Georgina Dark, Sarah Kuiper, Bryony Kelly, Maz Mirabilis, Alex Mockler and Simon Wolfe. Our executive producers are Isabel Allen, Ben Ashmore, Mark Bennett, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Paul Dunn, Tony Drury, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Luke Hegarty, Robert Hoger, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Thomas Johnston, Lucy McNeil, Gary Moncur, Danny Morris, Steph Morris, Claire Norbury, Laura Pinney-Fay, Alistair Wrigley, Michael Seeley, Tom Sherrington, Angel Stannard, Paul Statter, Patrick Stratford, Michael Weil and Sarah Went. Huge thanks to all you lovely producers who make the Bill Podcast possible. If you'd like to add your name to the credits and support the podcast, join the investigation at patreon.com/The Bill Podcast. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.